Hi, I'm Matt Weiss, and I'd like to welcome you to the first in a series of shows focused on Brookline as an age-friendly community. In 2012, the Board of Selectmen established an Age-Friendly Cities Committee in Brookline based on the recognition Brookline received in the eyes of the world that year as an age-friendly community. The UN World Health Organization recognized Brookline as first city in New England to be included in its general global network of age-friendly cities. Tonight, we're going to introduce you to the Age-Friendly Cities mission through the eyes of the co-chairs, Nancy Daly and Frank Caro. Future programs will highlight the involvement of specific town departments in the age-friendliness. The Age-Friendly Cities Project is committed to strengthening the already age-friendly features of Brookline, such as our great parks, transportation, health services, the renowned library, and housing. The co-chairs are Nancy Daly, a board member for 10 years, and a chair of the Board of Selectmen for 3 years. And Frank Caro, a town meeting member from Precinct 8 since 2008, and from Precinct 10 since 2014. Nancy.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry, Nancy.
That's okay.
Yeah. Nancy, I wanted to tell them something about you first. Nancy Daly serves as the Board of Selectmen's representative to the Age-Friendly Cities Committee, and also to the Council on Aging from the Board of Selectmen. She co-chairs with Frank Caro the Age-Friendly Cities Committee that supports Brookline as an age-friendly community. Prior to the board, Nancy served on the advisory committee, which is the town's finance committee, for 8 years and was 3 years chair. Nancy's also the board's representative on the Community Development Block Grant Committee. And she works mostly on behalf of the town of Brookline now, but previously she practiced law as a civil litigator. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you.
Frank Caro, a sociologist, gerontologist, is professor emeritus at University of Massachusetts, Boston, and longtime editor of the Journal of Aging and Social Policy. Professor Caro helped establish the PhD program in gerontology and the master's program in management and aging services. He taught and served as director of the University of Massachusetts Gerontology Institute. And Frank, as a volunteer co-founder of the chair of the Brookline Community Aging Network, or Brookline CAN. He's also chair of Brookline CAN's Livable Community Advocacy Committee. Welcome.
Nice to be here.
Good to have you. We're going to have a discussion. This is the first show, and the way we're going to run this is we're going to have basically a round table, a couple of people here, and we'll have a discussion about the age-friendly cities community. So can we start with Frank? He was there at the very origin of the committee itself and the acceptance by the World Health Organization. Can you tell us something about it,
Well,
Frank?
yeah, I can say a little bit about how we got started. In a sense, this got started with the Brookline CAN's Livable Community Advocacy Committee. That's a group that calls attention to the good things that Brookline has to offer to older people. Its basic perspective is why would an older person want to live in a retirement community when a person can live in Brookline?
Right.
And we through that committee, we've also been working with the town departments to make various improvements in town as it affects older people and really people of all ages. In the work of that committee, we established good relationships with town departments. And we found that the town departments were really very receptive to working on issues of, that affected older people. And it happened that I learned about the Age-Friendly Cities Initiative through one of my former students who was doing some consulting work with the World Health Organization. When I heard about it, it occurred to me, we're already doing it. we should become part of that program.
Right.
And the attractiveness in joining the program is that what it is it represents a commitment on the part of the town departments and the boards and commission to make attention to being age-friendly as part of their regular work.
Right.
So that's why we approached the Board of Selectmen and urge them to urge the board to apply to join the initiative.
Right. Oh, that's great, and succeeded. And Nancy, what happened with the board? I mean, you come from that perspective. the Board of
Right. Well,
Selectmen.
when Frank came to us, we set up the committee, and Frank and I, of course, were on the committee, and we had a number of other people join as well. And our first task was to kind of do an assessment of everything we had in Brookline already that was age-friendly. And we put together the report to actually get the official designation from the World Health Organization that we could be counted in the network of age-friendly communities. And so it was interesting, and I will say one of the nice things about it was as we'd go have departments talk to us about what they already had and possible future plans. I would say we found great interest and eagerness on the part of our town departments to participate in this and to do all that they could for seniors. And so that was, and I've got to say first, because a key partner in this from the beginning was Ruth Ann Dobeck at the director of the Council on Aging, and was, who works just tirelessly for seniors in town. But she was very enthusiastic about this and involved in our efforts from the beginning.
Right. Yeah, I've been impressed.
Yeah.
Impressed both with your work and Ruth Ann's unbelievable. But yes.
So that was, and I think we all learned a lot when we put this initial report together to apply for the status. And one of the interesting things that we discovered was that we actually had a lot of the pieces in place already. And one of the challenges was getting seniors in town to know about all the opportunities and options that we had. So that was kind of the challenge. As in this report, not only did we say, here's what we already have, but we also said, here's some goals we're setting ourselves to do outreach, to improve things. And
How did you do that, Frank? How did you get people to come out?
As a matter of fact, we decided that our overriding action agenda really needed to be communication, getting information out on the services that the town was already offering.
Right.
And we put out to move that agenda forward. We put out a call for volunteers to help us with that initiative.
Right. Yeah, I remember the call.
And one of the things I've been very involved with is that this. So we started talking. I was talking with Ruth Ann and others about the many opportunities available, but how do we get them more widely known? And we were talking about particularly sort of in the health arena and whatever. Right. And we were thinking it would be nice if we could have a fair, sort of in which people got information about various things available to them. And it just worked out fortuitously, because as I was saying to Ruth Ann, what we really need is, some sort of fair where everyone could come and get information from a lot of different people. We got approached by Center Communities of Brookline. That's an arm of Hebrew Senior Life, and they run, they have a couple buildings in town that are senior housing, some of it subsidized, some of it market rate, and they also have, for their seniors, it's assisted living community, essentially. And they had gotten a grant from the initial one 2 years ago, was from Covidian, and they were having the same idea and wanted to partner with us, and we were talking about it, but these guys had already gone out and gotten the grant. So it worked out well. We formed a committee, Ruth Ann and I and Julie Washburn from the Senior Center joined the 100 Center Street people in planning and executing this. And we had the first one 2 years ago, and it was a fabulous success. We had a great crowd of people, a couple hundred people come through. And we're having our second one this year on May 14th, Thursday, May 14th.
Great.
And it's the theme this year is brain health. And I know the Hebrew Senior Life people once again went out and got a grant, I think from Riley Construction this time, who I guess is a company that's worked with
Right.
them on their facilities. And so we're really planning an exciting day, and one of our just to show the interconnectedness of our departments and things on this effort. I went to Polly Selko, who works in our planning department, because her husband is like a very famous doctor in the area of Alzheimer's disease.
Right.
And he runs the neurological center. He's co-chair of the neurological center at Brigham and Women's Hospital. So I contacted Polly and said, could we have Dennis come and be a speaker at our event? And
So that's how you get people to
That's
come
how
out.
you get
Now I
people.
understand.
Yeah. So we have and Hebrew Senior Life, they came up with they have a couple speakers lined up, and it's really going to be, I think, a very interesting event for people. And it's not, I mean, there might be a little bit about how you handle someone in your family who has Alzheimer's, but a lot of it is how you stay healthy so you don't get to that point, you know. So the things you need to do, there'll be stuff about diet and nutrition and you know, various supplements and whatever it may be, exercise. I know, you know, all the things that they'll tell you to do to stay healthy. But again, we're having a wonderful participation from our town departments.
Excellent.
And they will have, you know, tables. And so this is an opportunity for, I mean, we're focused on health, but, you know, some of it, because I was just talking to the police chief, and I was saying we talked at our last Age-Friendly Cities
I was going to
meeting.
say public safety must come into
Yeah.
that to some
So
extent, right?
police are going to have a table there. And I was saying we'd been talking about how do you help people who maybe are in high-rise buildings and in the event of an emergency and might need special help.
Right.
And so he's actually sending somebody to this event who is working in that area. So
Right.
to kind of let people know maybe, you know, how they get on a list or get in contact, you know, if they might need special help
Absolutely.
in the event of an emergency. But so I think we're having the police department participate, the library's participating, let's see, who else? The recreation department that has a lot of programs for seniors.
How about the health department?
Health department, of course, is participating, yeah. And I don't know if I've...
That's not a transportation issue, although I would wonder about moving people around with health issues. You were working with transportation for quite a while, weren't you, on the during the last couple of years?
Well, we're working on transportation really in most basic kind of ways, starting with concerns about pedestrians.
Right.
You know, some of that began with the Brookline CAN and the Livable Community Advocacy Committee. We've had a long-standing concern about sidewalk conditions in the winter after snowstorms, particularly in the commercial areas. We've had a team of volunteers that goes out after storms to make use of the opportunities that the town provides for citizens to report problems when they observe them. We've done that in the interest really of promoting health and safety for really everybody who walks. And we've had a very good response from the public for that kind of work. A lot of people have. I even get approached by strangers on the street who.
Yeah, I think. Well, this
thank us
winter
for-
it was pretty telling. I think.
But you know
the sidewalks were pretty clean in my experience this winter.
But that's no accident.
Right.
It's a result of our efforts. We brought our concern to the town, first to town meeting and then to the Board of Selectmen. The town administrator established a task force last fall to tackle the problem of winter sidewalk safety in a comprehensive way.
Right.
And he invited several town departments to participate: the Public Works, the Health Department, the Building Department, and the police. They all share responsibility for enforcement of the town's bylaw that requires property owners to maintain their sidewalks in a non-slippery condition. And Nancy and I were both members of that task force. And I think it was really marvelous to see representatives of all those departments, sometimes a dozen people sitting around a table, and they actually did what the task force was set up to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
I must say that was impressive. That's why I'm asking.
As a result of serving on that task force, I've been advocating for the town to buy some more snow removal equipment. And I've had some success, not quite as much as I wanted, but we have gotten a couple of new pieces, and I hope for some more in the future. But, and particularly, the town does clear the sidewalks in commercial areas, and that's very important for seniors, I think. Because,
and everybody.
But yeah, everybody. I mean, the mothers with kids in strollers and stuff, too. It's a struggle when it's really snowy and icy and whatever to get out and just do your shopping.
Yeah, I have a pet theory that I'm going to throw at both of you, which is that what older adults want is what everybody needs. And don't necessarily ask for it, but when you ask for it, when you've had enough years and you see things that are needed, you ask for them. And I think that you're asking for things that everybody needs. What do you think about that, Frank?
Well, I think that's a good point, Matt. And I think when people get older, they're kind of willing to take a look at some very basic things that we tend to take for granted. I think we take for granted the fact that we like to think that sidewalks are in good condition. We like to think that streets are safe for us to cross.
Right.
And when we're younger, we're athletic enough so that we're able to compensate for, for
bumps in the road,
falling,
bumps in the road. We're able to, dart out of the way of automobiles, dodge bicycles, and kind of whatever. But as we get older, some of those things aren't so easy anymore. And
I would add to that I think there's a couple challenges we've noticed through this whole process of trying to think of Brookline as an age-friendly community. Many older people give up driving. And so they are looking for those other ways to get. I often hear from people at the senior center because the senior center in town here is a very lively place and there's great participation there. But I hear from people, particularly in South Brookline, saying, how do I get here? There is the bus the senior center runs, but in terms of public transportation, it's limited. And I think the other thing Frank discovered through a few, he held some very well-attended forums on housing.
Absolutely.
And a great many seniors are looking for affordable housing that might have some assisted living component, or just might be in an age-friendly type of building without the assisted living. But that we saw tremendous interest, I think, in that.
And and clearly, I think that's kind of our work in housing, housing is clearly very challenging, and we're very early stages in finding better solutions to housing problems. But I can say a couple of things. One is that when we started the initiative, we were approached by Fran Price, who was then a staff member in the planning department, and she expressed interest in expanding the supply of housing for seniors in Brookline, and she worked with us in putting together the public forum that Nancy mentioned. And that was an instance in which, because we had the Age Friendly Cities Initiative, a staff member in a town department who really had not been working on a regular basis with the staff and the Council on Aging came forward and say, hey, you know, this is something that really deserves some attention. And when we put that form together, first, because of her contact network, she was able to bring in some really wonderful expertise to provide the community with a kind of an overview of some of the possible approaches. And we had a terrific turnout.
Yes.
And it, you know, kind of one of the things that that event made clear is that there is a constituency in Brookline that really wants additional housing options for seniors.
Yeah, they want to be
So-
able to stay here. I mean,
So that at a point in the future when some particular developments are being proposed, we have a good way of bringing out people who will speak to the need. So that's and the fact that we've been active in that area has brought out some new volunteers who come with some kind of wonderful ideas about how this might be approached.
Such as?
A Brookline resident by the name of Henry Winkleman, for example, came forward with who is a younger person, come forward with the idea of making use of town parking lots, using the air rights above the town parking lots for senior housing. This is an approach which is being used in California, but hasn't been approached here, and it stimulated some thinking about possible sites for senior housing.
oh, that sounds great.
So the fact that we have this initiative is bringing people forward with ideas, people who want to pitch in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to shift a little bit. All the things we're talking about sound really good, but give me a vision of North Brookline, right? Because I think of the housing and all the various areas, pedestrians, the health at the senior center, which is in North Brookline. What happens in South Brookline? I mean, who wants to talk to that first? I'd like to hear how we're going to address South Brookline for age friendliness.
Well, I'm happy to talk about it. Yeah, when you look at the census data, there's a huge number of seniors in North Brookline, and largely because you can walk to the shopping and you can walk to get on the T and go down to Boston or get to your doctor or whatever it might be. And that is why the senior center was situated where it was. But as I said a minute ago, I do hear from people in South Brookline that are still in their more suburban type homes. And so I know the senior center bus does go over there as part of its route that it does. They would like more options, though, to get to the more walkable part of town and and maybe from there you can hop on the T, as I say, and get downtown if you want to
Well,
shop
then we
or
come to
something like
the
that.
transportation questions at that point, because I mean, the questions of public transportation, people who no longer drive, if they live in South Brookline, where do they go if they've been used to driving every place
Yeah.
and no longer can do that? And how do they transition from one to the other? Frank, weren't you working on that to some extent? The transition of driving from to public transportation and other methods?
Well, yes, we have been very concerned about older people who need transportation alternatives other than driving their own vehicle, and we've in various ways been trying to stimulate thinking about better options.
And we both Frank and I participated a year or two ago when the T was talking about greatly raising the rates for the ride, which is something
right.
that the seniors and disabled people can, who have trouble getting around, can call from the T to get places. But also the senior fare on the MBTA.
They don't call that like a taxi, though. That's a scheduled kind of ride, isn't it? The ride, I mean, is that?
Well, you have to qualify. You have to have some level of disability, I believe. And you have to call in advance, but I don't think it's, I mean, I think you can call in the morning and say, can I have one this afternoon? I don't think you have to call way in advance.
I think people sometimes have to schedule this
Further than that?
sometimes a week in advance.
Yeah. Okay. I stand corrected.
Another
but
area that needs improvement.
But I will, yeah, well, but it was also the T, with its own financial problems, was planning on
Sure.
really raising the rates on that to, I think, a level that would have been prohibitive for many people.
Right.
So we participated in some public discussions on that and urged the T and I remember a letter, I can't remember if that went out from the Board of Selectmen or from
the
our
Board of
committee.
Selectmen.
Urging them to, be sensitive to the needs of seniors. And
I love the interaction, I have to tell you, with the board and
we
the,
held an event at the senior center.
Right.
We held a hearing. The Board of Selectmen was very well represented there,
Yeah.
and as a result of that, the Board of Selectmen sent in a letter, urging the MBTA to be sensitive to seniors. But I'm hopeful that we're going to have a future program in which we focus entirely on transportation. But I just want to mention briefly is that we, not so long ago picked up an idea that Ruth Ann Dobek put forward, and that is that we do something that's kind of focused on the individual seniors who are sort of who are not driving, who are want to put all the pieces together. And as a result of really some encouragement from one of our volunteers, Shirley Celeb, we applied for a couple of grants, and we have recently learned that we're going to be getting a grant from the Mass
another
Department
program.
of Transportation that is going to allow us to set up a program that we're going to do in collaboration with Newton, and we're going to be working with individual seniors to help them to figure out ways of getting from one place to another.
that's great. I'm going to have to close this down. I'm sorry.
Well,
This
we're
could
just
go
getting
on.
started.
This could go on. We will have more programs. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. We will have more programs. This will be one of them, transportation. This program itself will be rebroadcast several times in the next few weeks, so please watch it. The next program will feature the Department of Parks and Recreation, moving in towards summer, right? And then all programs afterwards are going to be available on Brookline Can's website and the Brookline Can Twitter and Facebook accounts. I just want to thank both of you. This is fantastic. I think we need about 3 or 4 more shows for just you two, but we're going to bring on some of the other departments at the same time.
well, thank you for having us.
And thank
Well, thanks, Matt.